Good afternoon, and thanks for watching. My name is Sarai Ajai, and today is January 20th, 2022. The time is 17 minutes after 1 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon. Thanks for watching my continuous violation identity theft report. For the last few months, I haven't done any recording, I think since the summer last year. I've been under a lot of duress. I have to always step out of my circumstances to figure out what's going on now, why is this happening to me, and I want to tell you a story. This is one of the most fascinating stories I have came across regarding my credentials before I moved to North Dakota. And I only moved here to North Dakota to find out what was really going on with my identification, my national security clearance, and so forth from my state of Illinois. So now, here's the story. A few years ago, it was 2016, I lived in the state of Illinois. I lived in the western suburb. An Islamic male who came up to me in a store. He wasn't rude. He wasn't angry. He was calm. And he told me how I got caught up into this, I guess, terrorist activity, which became a national security flag. It's a fascinating story. When I worked for one of the companies for a very long time, 17 years, I had left and I was gone for many years. I moved on and so forth. A person was hired. I don't know if it was a male or female, because the Islamic male who was explaining this story about what happened to my credentials didn't really elaborate, was it a male or female who took my old position. And it was a job of 3 people. It was a bookkeeping job. I believe it was one of my bookkeeping jobs. And they couldn't keep up with the job. So I don't know if that person that was working on that old desk was terminated or they was forced to leave. But at the time, I was responsible for all the bank reconciliation, and I was responsible for the accounts payable reconciliation, bank statement reports, and also the payroll bank statement reports. So I had to match from RGL from the bank statement. So the payroll and the AP would generate a fiche. It was a really pretty color fiche. It was not like a royal blue, but a deep, crisp blue. And like a military blue, but crisper, little, it had glaze over it. So, and then it had little tiny writing. So I had to, in order to read the fiche, it was the size of this index card. I had pulled the index card. It was the size of this index card. This is the second to the standard index card. So this was the second size of the index card. It was just the size. You would insert it between the base, and then the glass will fold down and it would project an image much bigger, because you couldn't read it with the naked eye because it was just so small. And at the time when I was employed there, they had 3,000 approximately 500 employees. And each time a payroll was run and the run cycle complete, it would generate the fiche. And instead of keeping it into human resources, basically I was responsible because it was a separation of duty. So if someone needed some information or some background, I would get a request and I would pull that information and then give them a copy of it. Well, this person who took my old desk, I was long gone, had nothing to do with this person. I don't even know the person who was working at that desk at the time of job of 3 people, because you have to realize we didn't have the automation we have now. We didn't have the artificial intelligence that can tell us sense and enter it in and it does the accounting reports for you and so forth. None of that. It was all manually done on 6, 11, and 14 column work papers. I was responsible for the foundation. I also was responsible for I think it was Skyline, and that was a real estate piece of it. That's other duties I had at that desk. So, and extra more. I'm leaving some extras out of there. However, this person, when that person left or they were terminated, took the fiche. That's what the Islamic male explained to me, and took it to the mosque. So he knew the individual, and they start targeting me because he or she felt that they were better than I guess. I got that impression, and they didn't know who I was. I wasn't part of their religious organization, Islamic religious organization. So they started targeting me and my son. And he said, they tried to convert me to Islam and I wouldn't convert so I could understand their cause. He ended the conversation and he walked away. My problem is my son is deceased because of this method, this false sex determination. For the way this method works, I had to step out of my circumstances with my cancer, is that they claim that you're not the original biological birth sex. And then they put men on my paperwork so they can clear national security. I don't know how they overriding it, and I'm being targeted if I'm a male from birth, while an actual male on my paperwork. They should be targeting these males on my paperwork. They're not. Something about they want to go to medical school on my credentials. I would have never gone into the medical field, even though I was working as a bookkeeper and then I was promoted to an accountant. I would never work in that capacity of a medical profession. Just make that clear. So I don't know when this person stole those fees from the company. Remember, I said they had 3,500 employees. On that fiche was all their identifiers, so security number, insurance information, so date of birth, their children information, social security number, and so forth and so on. So it was very well detailed and organized at the time. My concern is not only was I affected, if he stole that one sheet, which I don't believe, because it's easy to put in your pocket, it was the size of this and it's probably this thick full of fiche, he could easily walk out with it in his back pocket. He knew he was going to leave. The Hamas could have purchased a fiche reader, because that's what it was, a fiche reader device, and start to target everybody on those fiche. So if I'm just one person he did this to, and my son who was killed because they claimed he was me at birth, so they can take advantage of my academics, my high school diploma, and my education, how many other people have they done this to? So these are the questions I struggle with. I didn't know the person that worked at that desk. I was long gone, years gone, and they couldn't keep up. So if I'm one person and there's 3,499 employees, what happened to their lives and paperwork? Were these people going around getting jobs so they can steal payroll records so they can impersonate them? I didn't know the person, but this conversation occurred around 2016, and he walked away. I decided to talk about this. I'm not xenophobic. I don't hate Muslims. I don't understand because our government have programs for people. They have domestic programs and they have the Refugee Act. It sounds like this person was envious that I was African Americans and was able to keep up with that desk, but they're supposed to have all this education. So it questions these people's background on education. Are they really on their proper education background? So here's and I'm under so much duress. I've been crying. Angry because they telling me I'm stupid. Now think about it. I'm stupid, but they're on my paperwork. That's their legit. I'm a male from birth, dressed as a female, and I'm stupid. So that is their scapegoat for being on my paperwork. I'm going to make another statement clear because the rumors are all over the place. Someone claimed that I stole it from a parochial school. Remember, I went to a private college, but I attended a grade school was public and my high school was also public. I went to a really good public high school. Some of those teachers were very good teachers, years tenure experience as school teachers, and some of my teachers were from University of Chicago, not UIC, the University of Chicago, walking distance. It's equivalent to Harvard University. So I don't quite understand how everyone can misidentify me and override my rights and national security while I wind up being flagged because of it. I wind up being flagged because of it. But they won't target these males that's personating me, that's violating national security clearances. So it's a matter, they claim it's a matter of opinion. And I'll be playing these word games now. And I'm being discriminated and denied my rights. So when they did this to me, and they're not just Muslim that I'm finding out I'm having problems with. I'm having problems with every race group with this problem now. And nationality issue with this problem. I even found out Russians was on it, doing the same thing with my credentials. And I have Russians following me. So in the I Spy community, you should be very, very concerned now what's going on with my credentials. Someone said they actually override my credentials and there's millions of people on it and I can't survive. Like I said, why am I being used as an scapegoat? I'm not a social butterfly. I don't hang out with people. I stay to myself. So how I got into this mess when the judge actually changed my information because they did it to my birth name. And it came back again. When I moved to North Dakota, Fargo, North Dakota, I moved here just to figure out what was going on with my credentials. So this time when I moved here, I just didn't get the driver's license. They told me I can only have one. I can have a driver's license or a state ID. I can't have both here. So I decided not to get the state. So I went and got a driver's license, and I had used my passport. So I have a real ID driver's license. A real ID driver's license. When I was in the state of Illinois, I just had an Illinois driver's license and a state ID. They used to give it both. But here, they said they can only give one, but not both. So I wind up just out of experiment using my passport and then turning in my driver's license so I can receive my North Dakota real ID in return. Now, there has been problems since. When I moved here in this apartment that you see me in now, right above me, I'm on the second floor. There are 3 levels, and I'm on the second floor. There was an Islamic male who lived above me. He was also nice. We have paper thin walls here so you can hear everything. And he told me a story as well through the walls because we've been very paper thin walls. He said that they should have the rights to be on my paperwork. He had this beautiful dog. I loved his dog. He had a really expensive, rare dog. He was white. It looked like a Siberian Husky or something, but a real one. And he said the Islamic should have the right to be on people's paperwork without consequences. Then he went on to say, is what they did to Osama bin Laden's daughter. Like I told him, I said between the walls, I don't know Osama bin Laden's daughter, what that has to do with me. I'm not in the army, I'm not, none of the above. And he just said, is what they did to her. So I don't know if this is retaliation and they're targeting women in America and then trying to force them into sexual objectification, because that's what they want to use me for. They want me to be a prostitute, like sex trafficking, so they could take advantage of me, so they can live off my paperwork. And I'm supposed to, like he said, I'm supposed to understand this. It has nothing to do with me. Like I said, we have, for domestic people, we have the Department of Health and Human Services programs, and they have the homeless programs. It has something to do with these homeless people as well. I don't understand why they have to be on my paperwork when they have programs for them. Then they have the Refugee Act. And I think they have more money than both of them programs combined. They have educational programs, they have entrepreneurships, and I read it. I actually read the Refugee Act. However, they don't want to be on their own name paperwork. They consider our paperwork as a lottery. That's what they call it. They call our information as a lottery. When they're on it, they can just get free stuff from the government. So they think, I guess. I'm experiencing narcissistic behavior with people on my paperwork that think they have the rights to be on it. Even with their name changes, they play that game too in order to steal my background when I never authorized it. We won't have the same address. We won't have the forensic biometric profile or picture, but they're stealing my background in order to take advantage of my academic achievement. Now, hold that thought. UI spy community should be extraordinary. I mean, high level of what's going on here in Fargo, North Dakota, and back home in Illinois. I don't even know any Islamic people, Russian. I mean, it's kind of like an I spy, almost like a thriller, almost what's going on. And then the national security clearance behind it. It's pretty scary. It's absolutely pretty scary. So I'm supposed to be stupid, which justify them being on my paperwork, what causes me to be constantly put in a unbelievable consequences of compulsionary condition of servitude under the 13th Amendment. They feel they have the rights to use my paperwork whenever they feel like it, at will, without consequences. And I'm supposed to understand it. I have no rights. I literally have no rights, which caused me to experience identity and identification and identifier segregation. It's not like it's like a slavery. I could describe it what I've experienced and when I stepped out and I fully understand this whole thing now as an expert at it. It feels as though my information is shackled. I'm not physically intangible shackled like a slave to work in the fields, but they're doing it with my credentials. They're shackling my credentials and pretending that they're me while these people don't even match the forensic profile, and then justify that I am a male from birth when I am not. It's pretty scary. It's absolutely scary that I have no rights in my own country when people, domestic or foreign, alien or undocumented person on U.S. soil on my paperwork, I have no rights. That's what they're claiming. This is what I have been experiencing since the fourth quarter of 2004. Why the fourth quarter of 2004? That's when this illegal surveillance had started. With them hearing me, they put devices around me, even in this apartment. I'm not sure where it's located. I can't even go in my kitchen until some neighbor, they told them to listen to and to target me. They would go in a common area outside my apartment, and then they would say very derogatory things to me. The human rights violation and constitutional rights violation is unbelievable. I have wrote this in my case to the Supreme Court. I have 2 cases out there, and this is mentioned about the ID segregation problem. It's intangible. It's the same effect, but intangible. They're not even supposed to help me. I need procedures, and I call places. They don't even want to. They claim they can't see me, or there's all these excuses. I'm starting to be denied because I'm on my right paperwork. I don't know what to say. I'm scared, especially now with these Russians around me. I had no idea how deep this rabbit hole goes. with this identity espionage. I don't even know how they passed national security clearance. I know I used to keep a picture of me in my bedroom, and one day I was in the store. I think it was, early part of 2019 or early part of 2020, and a person did not even look like me. I kid you not. She had my picture from my bedroom as a badge, like an employee badge. But she forgot to take it off. I am shocked that the United States government has not looked into this problem with my credentials. My son and grandson was murdered because of this problem. They shot him in his head, pulled down his pants, and found out he had a dick because they claimed he was me. It caused genocide and murder. I never waived my rights, gave someone a power of attorney or affidavit to any one person, even including family members. So there shouldn't be any document out there unless I generate it, and I have copies of something I generated last year just so I can verify something. There are some major problems, some serious major identity crisis problems. I don't understand how they can override my paperwork and then target me. And a person in this building complex, similar situated and another color, there is no problem. They can go to the store, they're not forging their paperwork, they can go to the doctor, they can see the dentist, they can go have their eye exam without somebody trying to say they're going to F up your paperwork when they see you because you're on your right paperwork. They make it feel it's a crime. It is absolutely a crime to be born under your right paperwork because they can't take advantage of it. And these people, not even my pigmentation, you see it? They don't even match it. How could this be possible? I lost everything. They stole my home. They stole my career. I was illegally fired. Then they hurt me and gave me cancer over this problem. How could this possibly happen in this country? I have no rights. When they're here, I have no rights. When people in need, I have no rights. I'm their scapegoat. They're claiming that I'm a homosexual person on their opinion so they can take advantage of my paperwork. But actually, a person that is actually homosexual, and I've seen them around them, they don't say a word to them. They could be flamboyant as hell, and they won't say a word. They want me to move from my apartment complex here that you see me in. My apartment unit, they want me to move. I don't know why. I'm not a social butterfly. I don't talk to people. But my neighbor down the hall, down in 207, shouted when I was doing my laundry on Sunday and had a friend stand outside the door so she could shout that I was a homosexual person, in her opinion. So that justified them telling me I have to move. But there's homosexual people in this building. I've seen them. That's interesting, isn't it? So I'm being discriminated based on a look. Nobody cares about my well-being. Nobody cares if I live or die, as long as they can live comfortably. Unlawful gains off my information. They're claiming I have found out, someone sent me a text about a few months ago that I lived in another building and it was a maintenance repair went out and they were using my email, and I live here and it was another complex. It wasn't the same rental agency. I called them. I said, I don't live in that building, so I know they're forging leases on me now. And then they claim that I'm getting rent subsidies when I'm paying full rent. So government should be extraordinarily concerned with the civil rights and human rights violation I'm suffering here for no apparent reason. For no apparent reason. So that solidifies and justifies them forging my paperwork when I am not a homosexual person. I'm not a male from birth, dressed as a female. These false lights have gotten me targeted. I don't know if they're doing it on social media, but I know they have enforcement officers supposed to be monitoring these kind of chats, and I'm being ostracized and community banished over something that isn't true. I'm not homeless. I have to carry my personal briefcase and folder bag with me, my computer, because they steal from me. They steal everything out of my apartment. I'm missing some things. Even with the receipt, I am missing it. Recently, they stole the Amazon package. Usually, Amazon is really pretty good at delivering. They would ring the doorbell, and this package came very late, and they usually don't deliver that late. It was after 7, and I didn't pick up my cell phone. They took a picture, and usually you have the foyer, and then you have your security door. They would usually ring the door and leave the package inside the security door, but this time they left it outside in the foyer and took the picture, and they stole the package with my name on it. But Amazon was really, I did file a police report recently, and I used the report number that the officer presented to me, and I gave it to Amazon, and they reimbursed me for it. So they were really good. I mean, this is the first time that ever happened that they're stealing my packages from me. And I was trying to get a KN mask. So it was a mask in there, so I'm assuming that's probably what they were after because of the new virus is going around now. So in the world of I spies and surveillance, what is really going on? I am scared that I'm going to be killed or deported with proper paperwork because